Gideon Flint's shovel struck something impossible. For 3 days, he'd been digging in the barren field behind his remote ranch, 8 feet into what should have been solid earth. But on the 4th morning, the metal blade hit wood, sending a hollow thunk through the still air that froze his blood. Wiping sweat from his brow, Gideon peered into the hole. A smooth, oak step emerged from the dark soil, followed by another, descending into shadows too deep for any natural formation. He'd owned this land for 12 years, inherited from his father, who'd worked it for 30 more. No one had ever mentioned stairs buried beneath this desolate patch. On the 4th strike, voices drifted up, faint, like whispers on a windless day. Gideon's hands tightened on the shovel, knuckles whitening. The sounds grew clearer, a woman's voice, urgent and desperate, then a man's, low and angry. Dropping to his knees, he pressed his ear to the opening. The voices echoed from what sounded like a vast chamber below. Someone was crying. Another argued in sharp, clipped tones. These weren't distant neighbors or travelers on the cattle trail 2 miles east. They came from directly beneath his land, from a place no map or survey acknowledged. A memory hit him. 6 months ago, he'd noticed wagon tracks crossing his eastern boundary at night, fresh ruts, too wide for his cart, leading to this field before vanishing. He'd dismissed them as rustlers, too cowardly to face him. Now, the woman's voice rose into a scream, cut off by the unmistakable scrape of metal on metal, a heavy door slamming shut. Gideon scrambled back, heart pounding. These weren't forgotten cellars or storm shelters. The stairs were too well crafted, the voices too raw. Someone had built this place deliberately, and it was still in use. The woman's voice returned, weaker but clear, "Please, someone help us. We've been down here for weeks." The words burned into Gideon's mind. Weeks. People trapped beneath his land while he fed cattle and mended fences, oblivious to the horror below. He should ride for Bleakwood, 20 miles south, and fetch Sheriff Morrison. But Morrison prioritized wealthy ranchers' interests, and the round trip, plus convincing him, could take days. The woman's voice sounded frail. How long could they survive without food or water? Gideon studied the oak stairs, their iron nails unmarred by rust. Built within the last year, maybe months. This was no desperate hideout but a professional operation. He called down, "Hello, can you hear me?" Silence, then footsteps, quick, light. A woman's voice, closer now, "Thank God, someone found us. Please, get us out. There are 6 of us, and we don't have much time." "Who are you? How'd you get down there?" "Mercy Whitmore. We were traveling the northern trail when men attacked our wagon train. They brought us here, said they're keeping us until someone pays for our return. Kidnappers." The tracks weren't rustlers but criminals moving victims to this hidden prison, chosen for its isolation. "How many men? When do they come back?" 3. "They bring water and bread every few days. Last time was yesterday morning, so they might." Hooves thundered from the east, multiple riders approaching fast. Gideon's heart slammed against his ribs. Alone, unarmed except for a rifle back at his cabin, he stood over evidence that could get him killed. "Get away from the opening," he whispered to Mercy. "Hide if you can. Men are coming." He grabbed his shovel, frantically covering the stairs, but the mound of earth was too large to hide quickly. The riders would see it. 3 men crested the hill, their silhouettes sharp against the dawn. The leader, tall and lean in a black hat, dismounted near the hole, cursing loudly. "Someone's been digging," he growled. Fresh shovel marks, probably this morning. The name Boone Carter surfaced in Gideon's mind, whispered in saloons, tied to missing wagon trains and ransoms. The other 2, younger, followed his orders, staying mounted as Boone examined the earth. "Check the cabin," he barked. "Find whoever did this." Quietly. Gideon sprinted to a cluster of boulders 30 yards north, diving behind one as the younger men rode toward his cabin. From his hiding spot, he watched Boone kneel by the hole. "Everything all right down there?" Boone called. Mercy's voice, strained but steady, "No one came near us. Heard digging, but no voices." She was lying to protect him, risking everything. Boone circled the hole, methodical, a predator erasing tracks. The younger men returned from the cabin. "Nobody inside," one reported. "Fresh coffee, warm ashes. Someone was here this morning." Boone pulled a knife, cleaning his nails with chilling calm. "Spread out. Check the barn, outbuildings, every rock. Our friend's here, watching us." His eyes scanned the boulders, locking briefly on Gideon's hiding spot. The searchers split up, one to the barn, one to the western pasture. Gideon had 10 minutes before they reached him. From the hole, Boone's voice turned cold, "Someone found this place. We're moving you tonight, not next week." "Move us where?" Mercy's voice trembled. "Somewhere permanent. Your families are too slow with the ransom, and now we have security concerns." Gideon's blood chilled. Permanent meant murder, bodies buried where no one would look. The searcher in the pasture was 50 yards away, closing in. Gideon's only weapon was his skinning knife, useless against 3 armed men unless he shifted the odds. The barn's back door hung open. Inside, the searcher's voice was casual, talking to the horses. Gideon slipped through the doorway, knife ready. The man, young with sandy hair, turned toward the feed bins. Gideon struck, hand over the man's mouth, blade between his ribs. The body went limp. Gideon hid it behind hay bales and took the man's revolver. 2 against 1 now. Through the barn's window, he saw Boone probing the hole's soil. The remaining searcher, Tommy, called, "Charlie, find anything?" Silence. Suspicion would follow soon. Boone addressed the prisoners again, "Pack your belongings. We leave after sunset." A child's muffled sobs echoed from below. Gideon's rage flared, memories of his own family, lost to influenza 5 years ago, fueling his resolve. He hadn't saved them, but he'd save these strangers. Boone and Tommy closed in on the barn, coordinated and alert. "Found him," Boone called, spotting blood where Gideon had dragged Charlie. "They're in the barn." "Burn it," Boone ordered. "They come out or die." Smoke would choke the prisoners below. Gideon dropped from the loft, landing hard, and sprinted out the back as a gunshot splintered wood. He zigzagged to a stone wall, then doubled back, using it as cover. Tommy chased an imagined escape toward the creek, leaving Boone alone by the hole, reloading his pistol. Gideon aimed Charlie's revolver from the wall. The shot hit Boone's shoulder, his gun flying. Gideon charged, kicking the weapon away. Tommy returned, gun raised but hesitant to shoot near Boone. "Let me help them up," Gideon said, pressing the revolver to Boone's neck. "Call him off." Boone laughed, blood seeping through his fingers. "Kill me, and my partners will hunt you. Maybe, but you won't see it." Mercy's voice broke through, "Hurry, there's a sick child down here." Gideon shouted to Tommy, "Your boss is bleeding out. Drop your gun and walk, or watch him die." Tommy hesitated, then lowered his weapon, mounting his horse and riding east. Gideon bound Boone's hands, ignoring his threats. The stairs led to a limestone cave, stale air heavy with despair. 6 prisoners were chained to the wall. Mercy, strong despite captivity, an unconscious girl, feverish, her mother, 2 elderly merchants, and a teenage boy. Gideon unlocked them, carrying the girl to the surface. "There's a doctor in Bleakwood," he told Mercy. "My wagon can take us." With Boone tied in the back, they rolled toward town by sunset, the girl in Mercy's arms. Sheriff Morrison would ask questions, but Gideon felt purpose, something he hadn't since his family's death. He'd failed them, but today, he'd saved 6 lives.